Okay, there we are.
We're live.
We are live.
Okay. Uncle Ma, I bet.
Hope you are all well, safe, warm, and inside from the elements. If you are in any of the elements where it's snowing, I know it's snowing crazy here right now.
Yeah. It's the same up here in the north.
Okay. We'll get started with the opening of the way.
Okay. As we prepare for the opening of the way, we get to get into the pose of adoration. As we usually know, as we usually do, we get the left foot forward and the right foot slightly back, and the left hand forward and the right hand slightly back. And as we prepare to open up with the word of life. Take your deep breath. And as we prepare to begin. Netrak in Bahet, Nuk in Bahet, Netrak Happy, Nuk Happy, Tuau and Tuau. You're right. Netrak Circuit, Nuk Circuit, Netrak Capson, Nuk Capson of Tuau. Two turn to the right. Netrak As, Nuk As, Netrak Amset, Nuk Amset, Tuau and Tuau. Turn to your right. Netrak Neat, Nuk Neat, Netrak Duamutaf, Nuk Duamutaf, Tuau and Tuau. Turn to your right.
Netrak Newt.
Netrak Newt, Nuk Nuk. Netrak Geb,
Luke, Gib,
Luke Geb, Tuau and Tuau. Netrak
Shoot,
Shoot, Shoot, Shoot. Luke
shoot.
Netrak Tefnuk, Tefnuk, Tefnuk,
Tefnut.
Nuk Tefnuk. Tuau and Tuau.
Netrak,
Netrak and Boo. And Boo. Netrak.
Enter. Take your breath. Dua, dua, dua.
Oh, okay.
Pull up a seat and get cozy.
Come.
Leading us in the open of the way.
All right.
See. Anke Ma'at there, Sinet Cortia, and our Sen Simba, Simba J Limba. Anke Ma'at to you. All right, all right. Again, we hope you all are safe and warm and cuddled up and bundled up and out of the elements. For those of you who may be out there in cold, we send you our warmth, our heart, our love. And if you see somebody out there cold and you got something extra, put something on them. Put a blanket on them.
That's right.
Give them a hot cup of tea.
Right. So today we will be coming out of the selection from the Hosea.
All right, we gotta let's go through our normal greetings before we get started on the reading. For that opening of the way, we say Dua, 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 Baba Haru, Ankh Ra, Samad Sepata, Ma'akeru, opener of the way and bearer of Ma'at, custodian of the Aunt. We continue the ritual which you brought to us as we live the legacy. Let us light the candle for Baba Haru. All right. Then we'll go ahead and set our feather once the candle is lit. We're going to start with the 4 deep breaths of life here. And of course, that first deep breath we're going to take to cleanse our minds. Take a breath. And the second, to cleanse our spirit. Third one, to lighten our hearts. And our fourth and final, breathe in Ma'at and exhale Ifset. I awake to the Ma'at. I align my thoughts, words, and actions with Ma'at. And Ma'at be the guiding force of what we do here. Dua Netter. All right. As Himnetta Waziri said, we will be coming out of the Husia today. Go ahead and get that back up. Once I can figure that out. There we are. And it's going to be page 91. It's going to be the Book of Declarations of Virtues. We're going to be reading page 91 through 92. All right. And Himnetta, when you are ready.
Okay. As I begin, it says, the Book of Declarations of Virtues. As stated earlier, the heart of ancient Egyptian ethics and spiritual striving is Ma'at. Ancient Egyptian ethics and spirituality, like all African ethics and spirituality, have stressed a practical dimension. Has stressed a practical dimension. Righteousness is real only in virtue and social practice. Ma'at then is a social as well as spiritual task for which the reward is an enjoyable and beautiful life in the community on earth and spiritual life in the heavens as a living netter. See below in the books of rising like Ra. In a word, Ma'at is both a personal and social task and the promise and reward for completing it. The ancient Egyptians thus developed an ideal character type rooted in and reflective of Ma'at, which the instructions urge in the declarations of virtue state as both an accomplished fact and a model to emulate. This ideal type was the guru, the self-mastered, calm, silent, controlled, modest, wise, gentle, and socially active. and the Guru Mad, who were truly the self master. The first was the self master, the second, a kind of master of the self master. The opposite of the self master is the unrestrained person, hot mouthed, hot tempered, aggressive, and generally infused with ifrit, the opposite of mind, which one sees. Then, in the declarations of virtues, is the practice of basic values on the personal and social level, which pose an ideal type and serve as a model of mind for others to emulate. It is important to note that the personal is inseparable from the social. The righteousness and the restraint are always as in other African ethics and spirituality. Achieved, tested, and tempered in relations with others. Mod begins with family relations that makes one praised by his or her father, loved by his or her mother, and cherished by his or her brothers and sisters. Mahat expresses itself in classic statement of Egyptian morality, which appears thousands of years earlier in Hebrew Christian sacred texts. I gave food to the hungry, clothes to the naked, water to the thirsty, and a boat to those without one. The last part of this record of virtue, of course, reflects again the ancient Egyptian sea farming environment and reveals the essentiality of having a means of transportation on water. These decorations, which were usually found on stelae, a kind of memorial plaque, form a parallel and a complement to the declarations of innocence, which appear in the book of Coming Forth by Day, and thus uh, express a consistent ethic of right thought and practice, whose reward is found in this life and the next. Ashe.
Ashe, ashe to that reading. What are your thoughts on what this is telling us here?
I believe it is really telling what you should practice, leaving focusing on the virtues of 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 ideal character of who you should be and what you should emulate. So it's a become a compass of fact and a model to emulate. This is the ideal type of the guru, the self master, being calm, self sound, and control, the modest and self master. So these are the virtues that you have to declare and to emulate.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I do see where it says, later, the Hebrews Christian text give food to the hungry and clothes to the naked. This moral concept, based off of the virtues of Ma'at and those declaration, the declaration of virtues, as stated, it says earlier, the heart of the ancient Egyptian ethics and spiritual striving is Ma'at. And those moral concepts that we know of, just like it mentions here later, give food to the hungry. I was having a conversation, and we go, I just actually just yesterday with one of our members with Sin or Koku, and we were talking about, actually a lot of that's been the topic of discussion lately. The how do we actually follow Ma'at? What can we do in our everyday lives as not just comedic practitioners, again, as we say here, and when we're dressed up in garb and when we're doing a ritual? How can we implement the virtues of Ma'at in our everyday lives, just as our ancestors did? Because as you'll find, it wasn't just, those who were in the temples. Ma'at was the guiding concept of ancient Kemet. Not just the royals or the priest or the temple people followed and believed. This was a concept that was etched within their character, and that is how people were measured. you know. And today, we don't have to point out all the wrongs. We know that they exist. We know that they're on many levels. How do we implement ma'at in our daily? Like you said, the calm, even being calm. It says here, African ethics and spirituality achieved, tested, and tempered in relations with others. Ma'at begins with family, the family relations first. How do we start to restore balance in our families when so many Black homes are broken? How do we start to bring Ma'at back into the picture? How do we start to implement that into our children at their young, youthful ages as we're their first teachers? How do we start to, he and I were having that conversation about the children, but how do we implement this in our everyday lives when back then it was a way of life? And now we are trying to remember this way of life, so to speak. So what are some suggestions of even just the very basics, not just on the larger concept or larger scale? What about on our personal scales? In so many homes that we know are broken where, they're single family homes, for whatever the reason may be. Some of them, a lot of children are raised by their grandparents and they don't have either parent. How do we bring Ma'at back into our Black families?
So, and you look at as you look at the readings concentrate on the fact that this is something that hopefully we do it every day. We like I said, we bring the clothes and food for those that we take for granted. This is something that we do every day, and sometimes we have to bring that to the attention to the family to let them know that we are blessed, and through those blessings, and we bless those in our family. We ought to be grateful and thankful for those things that come our way, and we are thankful for my upbringing.
Yes, yes. And so when we do that and we start to, the first step is well, and this is, conversation and opinion. I don't have answers. It's a matter of wherever there is, so to speak, upset, so to speak, chaos or disorder, it starts within ourselves, because you cannot go and make balance in your home, in your community, ultimately in the world, if you are not, if Ma'at is not in balance within. So it starts there, because without you being in balance with all things, you know what I mean, your spirit, your body, all of those things, without you being in balance, then you won't recognize that something needs to be done here or there, because you're not balanced within. So how are you going to then think to feed the hungry when your soul is hungry right now and you don't even know it? You know what I mean? So I think it starts for me, it starts to basically acknowledging every day that I am who I am, and whatever emotions and thoughts that are moving in and out of me, I have to acknowledge those. They're not always right, they're not always in a good you know what I mean, in a good way. They're not always positive thoughts, but I acknowledge it when it happens. So I'm able to understand and recognize that that's not what I want. That is not, and I'm able to repair it in that moment instead of allowing it to fester and things like that. In that, doing that within myself, I'm not a nagging wife. I'm not a, you know what I mean? When you can do that within yourself, my marriage is stable because we can communicate, because I'm communicating with myself. My home is stable because I'm keeping what's with my thoughts, even on a very smallest scale, keeping my thoughts pure. And when they do arise and they're negative, I'm able to address them at the time that they enter, so that I don't have to speak to my husband like he's a child. I don't speak to him like that anyway. But a lot of women speak to their husbands like they little boys, and they they're mothering them. But a lot of husbands want that. So in order to, and I mean that on a smaller scale, that allows us to to actually see the bigger picture. When you can do that with yourself, you do that in your home, your family, when correction is needed or when it's not needed, because you're appreciating those things that are aligned with Ma'at. And then you can see that there's a cold man on the corner and you'll get an extra blanket, or a hungry child, or you know what I mean? It just kind of, it's a smaller, the big smallest thing to focus on the biggest thing. So we as a community, if we are not doing those things within ourselves, how then as a community are we supposed to grow in Ma'at? It was definitely not the order of how we were programmed to live in the Western world. For them, for our ancient ancestors, it was their way. It was their natural way. It wasn't something that they had to be taught like we have to be taught.
Right. So true. So true. We have to. It's so important that we bring forth and we bring forth the declarations. So and incorporate these declarations as virtues in our daily life. So so what are we thinking and how we're acting is important. So as you the Husia says, live ma'at and do ma'at. So
Mhm.
it's so important that we do that, and we are
Absolutely.
thankful for the fact the book of declarations of virtues of 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 ideal, like we look at the living virtues of the role models that they put
Mhm.
forth. As they said, look at the models, and the models are what we ought to be guided by, and how are we to be able to have a model to bring forth in our lives is so important.
Absolutely. And we have a comment where he says, Sima J. Limba says, restoring the family unit will be exercising Ma'at. Absolutely. We as practitioners should lead the charge in this, in our circles and communities. Absolutely. Which is why, even if you're not, and I want to make it clear that because we know these, we have these tools and we have this, as you said, him that a model to go by, because it's a human model. This isn't just, yes, we are Africans and we're getting back our heritage, we're grabbing back our culture, but just close your eyes and assume no such thing as race, but we had this model. It still cannot be separated from a perfect moral compass, a perfect, you know what I mean? If you look at it, and this is just, if you look at the model scientifically, which is why the civilization lasted as long as it did, scientifically, it cannot be disputed. Because if their leaders were made to live in Ma'at, and their citizens were made to live in Ma'at, and their all walks of life, the respects on all walks of life's level equate to it's equal, which is why the model it's you can and which is why they were scientific, because the model scientifically works. So I think that starting when I was, the point that I was leading to was that when we, like he said, as practitioners, we should lead the charge in this in our inner circles and communities. I 100% agree, but I want also to it to be clear, and much we all know this, there's still a way that we have to, as practitioners, lead this charge, because we have to make sure that our Western minds are already so injured, injured. So when you do lead this, when we lead this charge, we have to be sure that we're still not forcing spirituality. I won't even say religion, because what we do is not religion. We can't force that down. This is the right way. This is, you cannot proclaim to know the way when we none of us have gone all the way yet. If we're still here, we haven't completed the way. So you can't stand on a throne to say I know the way, but you can implement these morals. Do not be a way knower and shower, but a goer. So you go the way with a model, not saying this is the way, the truth, and the light. You haven't been all the way there yet. You cannot do that. And our minds are already injured. Our spirits are already injured from these so-called promises. So you have to be very careful as a comedic practitioner that you're not doing that. You're not spiritually forcing that idea on somebody so that it is not an idea, that it's more so an action that you're doing. You're going the way. And that in turn shows the way, and it opens the gates for everybody else. But as long as you're standing on the throne to say you know the way, nobody's going, because all you know is your way. You don't know the way, you know your way. All of us do. So we have to be careful with doing that. By opening these books, our ancestors left the words deciphering what they're telling us. Because it's still, these things are still treasures in this moment. They always will be. Otherwise, they would not have been etched in stone. They would have not have been written for us to find later. Who cares what they did if it wouldn't hold any water today? And I don't mean who cares what our ancestor did, but if it wasn't so important for us to find this information, it would not be in these books for us to locate. It wouldn't be etched in stone, not just an author's book, but the actual tangible evidence that we can all go and see wouldn't be there for us to find, because it wouldn't be critical. We wouldn't have needed it. So I think that is what Sema J. Limba said is absolutely 100, but we have to be careful doing that. And I don't mean being soft careful, but just careful in the matter that we're already dealing with. Injured, the injured, the wounded. We're still wounded. So I think that and as it applies to the children, we have to start providing them the moral concept, the moral compass, as you said, Himnetter, the role model, that that model to go by. And not just in the things that we do, but we teach them and also show them. So that a child can see that when a person is outside cold or hungry, that child would automatically say, let's get a blanket, daddy, mommy, auntie, grandma, we need to go get a blanket. He's cold. He's hungry. Can you get a bowl of soup? We got Adenike. Oh, Sinette Adenike. Hello, 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 Uncle Ma'atu. Miss you. And Seba Ali Obali says, applying a balanced outlook on all things in life. Daily Saruj Ma'at. And though word and deed. Yes, 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 yes. Word and deed. Absolutely. So delusion is Delusion is a form of FSET. SFET, correct. I agree with that. That's all right. I know what you meant. I know what you meant. I know. I got you, Sen. I know who you are. I see St. Curtis, Uncle my St. Curtis. Himnetter, do you have anything to add to any of that?
Just as well. I think in the translation of the book of Declarations of Virtues, it says we have to understand that The ideal was a guru that self-mastered, being calm, silent, and controlled. The modest, truly the self-master. So that's important to understand that we had to be the guru of mind. It's so important to understand that as we understand who we are and what we are to model forth and become.
Absolutely. The guru of self mastery. Exactly. 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 And then he said, and it says there, right before that portion, he says, what one sees then in the declarations of virtues is the practice of basic values on personal and social level, on a personal and social level, which pose an ideal type and serve as a model of ma'at for others to emulate. So it would be one thing if our culture or our culture was taken and it was actually lived as the model intended it to be. So, with so much chaos, we can't even almost fathom the thought of that being a reality. But imagine if it were, because that was the intentions in the first place. A model for others to emulate. Not manipulate as it as it was done, but emulate. This would be a different place. And I can get that that's fantasy thinking, but it would be a total different place.
It truly would be.
Most of us probably would have never crossed paths.
Definitely not.
We may have passed each other somewhere, taking a vacation, had no idea, just of a whole different, a different plane.
So,
Just
so
another brother that smile at and keep on going,
that's right.
So
Having my eye in their hearts.
that's right. But if one can think it, it's possible.
So
Even if it's not possible in a lifetime that we live here on this plane, what we're doing is making those possibilities more of a reality. What we're doing right now.
so true. So true.
And now with all of the, technology, our children's children won't have to search as hard as we did to locate these conversations, these memories, these different, if they burn all the books, we've read them online, we've discussed them, we've made it a lot easier for them to actually even have these models as concepts when they're first born. So I think the model is more important than the actual title. So to feed this information to people on a level where they can understand it, I'm not saying to take away the name of art in any of it, but feed them the model, give them the history after they've already had the model, because they can't dispute the model. You understand what I'm saying? Feed them the model first.
Know the
That's right.
visions.
Feed them the model first. Give them the model.
So
And then when they say, well, this model works, I know. It
right.
was the first. Here's the origin of it.
So important to understand.
That's right. Well, with that being said, today I have I have not gotten any of course any prayer requests. Let's see. Let's see. Oh yeah, yeah, certainly did. He said, if you all haven't been watching, say by Obali says Scribe Sanjeti gave an example the other night on Tuesday Top. Yes, he did. Guru Ma'at is a goal. That's right. That's absolutely, absolutely. Because imagine if you can master all of those things within your calm. And say, but you even said that when we were talking about the kids, when kids feel they fear and different things like that, or they fight, and or even us grown-ups, we get in our way and we actually get physical and all these things. Imagine if you can control all of those different things, and you can. It's not even imagine, but just think of all of the different decisions that would be made when you have that mastery of yourself, and nobody can take you off of your balance because you're driven by ma'at. The force of ma'at is literally living through you. So that's what we do have to. That's what we have to show our children. Children know way more than they did when I was coming up. They know all the gossip, and they little ones. They can tell you everything that's going on. There's arguing in front of the children. There's talk about financial struggles in front of the children. And I'm not saying that it necessarily should be kept for them, but children have to be. I don't even like the concept of saying children should be kept in a child's place. I don't like that concept because that also is traumatizing. But they should be treated as children, as tender as they are. They shouldn't have to endure what we're enduring. So I like that. That guru, that self-mastery guru, keeping yourself calm in the middle of chaos. So
important.
I did not have any prayers this week, though. So of course, I extend the same prayers to those that we know are ailing and going through things. Our Himnetter, our mess. I haven't spoken to him. I'm not sure if any of you all have, but please reach out to him and check on him. We're always sending him Uncle Josaneb. Himnetter, we're always sending you Uncle Josaneb as well. But rain, sleet, and snow, you hear every week. So I'm very grateful for
that. So we're thankful for the fact that Ra is with us and Ra is with us every day. And so we wanna lift our hearts and minds and send out the healing energy for those that request it or need it. And we are there to be the healers of society, of this world. We are thankful for that. Should we say, Dwa R Hrw, Uncle Josaneb.
Uncle Josaneb, Dwa R Hrw. For sure. I didn't have any announcements this week. We did have one. Heru Misu Nefer. We had send Alan Mayo out in Cali, our West Coast send. I see him every now and then. I think he's out on vacation right now, but Alan, shout out to Alan. It's his birthday out there. So wherever you are, happy HAPI birthday. We murder you. All right. Well, with that being said, that was a great prayer to close us out. I don't have anything else. It says, let's see. Pray for us, community, all spiritual systems that we unite. Absolutely. That's a great prayer. I think that Simba J. Limba, I agree. I'm really feeling hopeful for the way things seeming to be going. I know that so many spiritual systems and communities have their separations, but we have to, again, as carriers of Ma'at, Sima J, we are just like the conversation we've had here today. These are ways that we have to be creative and create this Sima Twi between all of us. And I think that Kemetic communities are beginning to unite a little bit better and communicate a little bit better. But we need to do that with all Black communities and come together and unite our. I will never see it being that we're all going to be a part of maybe the same spiritual systems, but that's okay. Ma'at's still the driving force. It's the charge of all of their spiritual systems, even if they don't want to admit the origin. Still, Ma'at, the intentions of Ma'at have been met. I don't care what title you call it. If they're following Ma'at, then the intentions of Ma'at have been met. When the order was placed, it's being followed. Simple as that. Over time, it will be called what it will. You can call it whatever you want to call it if that's what they choose to do. But if they're following Ma'at, the intentions are being met. So, yes, I keep doing the work, all of us. I think that a lot of us are doing some good work out here. And I look forward to continuing to build family with you all and spreading the word and getting in the minds of our children and doing what we need to do. And with that, we close out. Do you want to close out and end us out with a prayer?
Yeah, you. I look forward to you saying
Okay.
close it out.
All right. I'll close it out. And let's see. Do I want to? I'll just say your prayer instead of reading something. Okay. All right. Anetrak Ma'at, Nuk Ma'at. Ma'at, show us your face. We are Ma'at. We are the living driving force of the legacy of Ma'at, which is etched in each and every one of us. Matah placed it in our hearts first and then in our tongues so that we may live the order of Ma'at. We give honor to our ancestors and all of us who come here every Sunday to give their time, their space, and their energy as we build this legacy. It was already there. So we're not doing anything new under the sun. We're just restoring what was left behind and our rightful birthright of what we deserve, what all humans deserve. With that, I say, Dwa R Hrw, Dwa R Hrw.
Enter. Dwa enter.
All right. Until next week, you all be safe out there. And again, if you have to be out in the elements, please be warm. Fill your gas tanks up. If you don't got the money for gas, ask somebody. You never know who you're gonna see the actions of Ma'at in. Maybe you just never know. If you got it, give it to somebody. Give your shirt, give your coat, give a blanket, give them a bowl of soup or hot tea. It's cold out there. Much more to all of you all. May all of our hearts stay light. And until next time, we'll see you then.